If your students are still struggling to read English fluently, this might not be a student problem. This might be a strategy problem. Today, I'm going to be sharing 5 literacy strategies that has really worked in a real grade 2 classroom. I'm Ini, a grade level leader and teacher in an American curriculum school here in the UAE, and literacy is my core focus. Now, these are strategies that I've tested, refined, and I've seen transform struggling readers in my classroom. So now, the first strategy I would love to share with you is repeated reading. The first thing about repeated reading is it's not boring, because I think that's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear repeated reading. You feel like, okay, you have to say the same thing, read the same thing over and over again. It's not a boring drill. When a child reads the same short passage 3 to 4 times, their brain builds automaticity. Now, the decoding load decreases and then the fluency of the child increases. Now, for example, I give my students a 70-word passage every day. Monday, they code read. Tuesday, they partner read. Wednesday, they time read. I time them when they're reading. Friday, performance read. Now, why does this work? Fluency frees up the cognitive space for comprehension, right? But the thing is, fluency alone is not enough. Comprehension also is enough. Comprehension also is important, sorry. So the second strategy I'll talk to you about is explicit phonics correction, not guessing. Now, we have many children that are struggling because we allow them to guess from pictures instead of them to decode from the word itself. For example, if a child says hearse, right? If a child says hearse instead of house, I don't say, oh, close enough. Oh, you're almost there. I go back to the word and I break it down. House, right? Explain it to the student. In grade 2, that is where the decoding must become automatic. The gentle correction builds the accuracy of the student, and this confidence grows from competence, not avoidance. So don't avoid the mistakes they make. Build their confidence from those mistakes. Correct them. Let them know they got it wrong, and then you tell them the right way to do it. Now let's talk about third strategy, vocabulary front loading. Before we read, I pre-teach 3 to 5 vocabulary words in that same story or in that same passage. Now the reason is, okay, let me give an example. If the story includes enormous, the word enormous, we act it out. So I say, when I say enormous, what do you think it's going to be about? Big. Okay, let's say big. Give me an action for the word big. I make sure the students are the ones giving me the action, because they're going to remember it better if they are the ones giving the action. So maybe they do something like big. Okay, then we act it out. We add an action to the word, and then we compare opposite words and opposites. What's the opposite of enormous? Oh, tiny, small, little. Okay, you choose tiny, enormous versus tiny. That means you've been able to successfully compare. You build context before reading, so that when the student finds that word in a passage, they understand the full sentence. Now, when comprehension fails, just definitely know that for sure the vocabulary is weak. That's why the comprehension is failing. Now let's talk about the fourth strategy, that is the structured comprehension questions. Now, after reading, I don't just ask, what's the story about? What happened in the story? That's nothing. It's more like you're just asking a direct question. That's not the time to do that. Instead, I ask questions that build up the critical thinking skills of the child. What did the character do? Why do you think the character did it? If you were in that situation, what do you think you would have done? This builds deeper thinking for the child. Now, let's talk about the last strategy, confidence. Confidence is very important for reading or generally in a student. Struggling readers, they don't just struggle academically. Most of them struggle emotionally, especially when they find themselves in a situation where their classmates are reading and they've not gotten to that level yet. what you can do at that point is, for me, I celebrate their efforts loudly. For times when I see that they pronounce a word that I feel like, wow, they were able to pronounce this word, bravo, this is amazing, wow, I'm proud of you. Exactly. Celebrate them loudly. Let them know that they've done something good. Let them feel good about themselves. Then track their progress visually. I always have a progress report. The progress report states that, okay, on Monday they were able to read out 5 words. On Tuesday they were able to read out a sentence. On Wednesday we went as far as 3 sentences. On Thursday we were able to read a paragraph. Wmake sure that you're tracking their progress visually and let them see their improvements. Show them. Don't just keep it to yourself. Show them. Oh, can you see on Monday you were only able to read 5 words, but on Tuesday, see, you were able to read 2 sentences. I'm so proud of you. And then you say, oh, how many were you able to read on Wednesday? Count. They would excitedly count, because now they are also part of it. Now, I need you to understand that children rise to the identity that we give them. So if your students are struggling in the classroom, it's not always about their ability, whether they can do it or not. Sometimes it is about the instruction alignment. Literacy is no luck. Literacy is strategy. And if you're a teacher, a parent, or you're homeschooling, or you're trying to, your focus is to try to make, or you're a school leader and your focus is to trying to make reading easier, why don't you subscribe? This is Ini Speaks, and we teach differently here. Bye.